Hey folks, this is Gary with West Family RV Adventures back with you. We're looking at our travel trailer. It's just shy of 34 feet long, and we are getting ready to take the family on what we believe is probably our last big trip of the summer. We're heading into, we're going to drive up through northern Maine. We live in Maine, and we're going to go into Quebec, Canada, province of Quebec, and we're going to be spending 3 nights at the KOA Quebec City and 3 nights at the KOA Montreal South. And last year we hauled our travel trailer up there with the kids in June, and we spent about 2.5 weeks, I believe, up in Canada. We even went into the Toronto area, Niagara Falls area, and also Andrea and I just finished almost a 3-week trip out through upstate New York, Ohio, Kentucky, down into Nashville, and back north to Maine. So we have put about 7,500 to 8,000 miles towing this travel trailer with our F-150. And back about 14 months ago, we had a local mechanic, which we love. He did a full brake job, rotors, brake pads on our tow vehicle. But now it's been, like I said, about 8,000 miles that we've been towing this, and a lot of heavy braking. So I know my rotors are in great shape, but I'm going to go ahead before we leave, first of the week, and I'm going to be putting in some brake pads, front and rear. So here we go. So let's see. Here are our brake pads. They're Ray Bestos, and they were recommended by our local O'Reilly Auto Parts. The guy behind the counter is a big truck guy, and that's all he puts in his vehicles. So we have our brake pads, front and rear. I think these are front, I think these are rear. And we've got some caliper pin lubricant right here. And what do we got? Going to remove our tires, our lug nuts. Here's a 13 millimeter socket for removing the caliper assembly itself. And we're going to need 2 wrenches to do that, actually, and a little screwdriver. And then got to compress the caliper piston. And I've got a little Harbor Freight picked up, Maddox. I've used this before for a special tool for pushing the caliper piston back in, so that I can get the assembly put back in with my new brake pads. A lot of people will use needle nose pliers and push hard against the piston. Some people will use a block of wood, C-clamps, but I'm going to go ahead and do it easy and use this special tool. And of course some brake cleaner, a wire brush, some plastic gloves, and some clean cloths. So, and then finally, let's see, got a little kneeling pad and jack stand and jack and a block of wood. So let's get this project started. First thing I'm going to do is loosen up these lug nuts. This is a 21 millimeter lug socket, which is the same I conveniently use on our travel trailer tires. Hey folks, I'm embarrassed. You can check that comment at the door. 21 millimeters isn't right. Shame, shame, shame. Back to the garage to find more sockets. Hey folks, do as I say and not as I do. You get done doing a project, put your tools back where they belong. Otherwise, if you're pushing up against the sun coming down, you're not going to bother taking your time to find them, and you're just going to go to the store. I wonder how many of these I've got. So put your toys away, folks. Alright gang, got my lug nuts slacked off. I think I have anyway. Oh yeah, got them all slacked off. Got my tires trigged. It's the opposite side of the vehicle. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just kind of crack that brake fluid cover. Got a little airflow. We're gonna need to have that later. Alright, let's get this jacked up. Alright gang, we got her all jacked up. Got a jack stand in place. Time to pull the tire off. Now folks, I know from past poor judgment that setting lug nuts down on a gravel driveway instantly turns them into chameleons. You're sure to lose at least one. So if you got a gravel driveway, put your nuts, put your bolts somewhere safe. Trust me. Trust me. Hey folks, these rotors look fine, just as I suspected. I believe they do. I might go get... Oh, there's Mr. Harley making a statement. I might just yell at my buddy across the street who's a former Ford mechanic. Have him just take a peek at my rotors. But I'm just going to be putting pads in. So let's give this a little squirt, just a little brake fluid. Everything's looking nice. I'll go with Corey to take a look at it. All right, my buddy Corey across the street said you're good. Things are looking good. So let's just proceed with pads only. Stand. I'm just going to have to remove this 13 millimeter here and 13 millimeter here. Okay. So those are the ones that hold my caliper pistons in. We'll deal with those a little bit later. So let's see if I can get a wrench on there and get those nuts removed, those bolts removed. So gang, this nut here, this is a 2015 F-150. It's V8 5.0 XLT, and this bolt here is 13 millimeter, but right here that's about 17 or 18, but I can't get my wrench in there. I'm gonna have to try to find some needle nose pliers maybe to put a little pressure on there as I twist. I was able to get these needle nose pliers around that nut, but I didn't really need it. No problem. So I've got those bolts slacked off. I think I'm going to go ahead and get a wire tie. I don't want to put any pressure on this hose here. I need to hang that up on something. So hold on a sec. Okay, here are the two 13 millimeter bolts I took out of the caliper piston bracket. I'm going to now go ahead and pull things apart. Man, I wish I had three hands. I keep showing you after the fact video footage, but I'm going to set my video camera down and pull that off. Man, that pulled off nicely. Very, very easy. But you can see this is heavy, and I don't want to have to be bleeding my brakes and have a big friggin' mess. Wait a minute, maybe I can just put this up here. Oh, look at that. I don't even need a wire tie. I think I'm okay. I like that. I like that. Okay, buddy, you're going back into the bag. I'll need you another day. Whoops. So just pull these out easily, and they look like they've got quite a bit of life. Not bad at all, but we're going to change them out. I'll put brand new ones in. I've already got it apart, and I bought new pads, so there we go. Huh. All right. So I want to make sure I get the new ones in the right spot, right position. This is one piece. I think the new pads I have separate brackets. We'll find out. Alright. I guess I'll put those over on the steps too, or I'll step on those when I barefooted, I'm sure. I'll get those out of the way. Alright, let me go get my wire brush. I'm not left-handed. Let me see if I can get that cleaned up a little bit. Let's give that a little spray of brake fluid. Brake cleaner, I should say, not brake fluid. What am I talking about? Alright. Okay, now while that's brake cleaner is doing its job, I'm going to move over here, and I got to get that caliper piston pushed back flat. Push back flat. Otherwise, this is not going to fit back over the new brake pads. So let me go get my tool and we'll start that process. Okay folks, can you see that? This is my caliper tool here. And this plate pushes against this side of the caliper. And this is the piston right here. And I need to get it pushed in. Need to get that pushed in. So let me give it a shot. I'm gonna have to set this down. I don't have a tripod. Well, I think I've got that back. And now we're gonna go work on these guide pins. Ooh, am I losing battery? I'm gonna work on these guide pins and grease them up. Yeah, my cell phone battery was just about gone. So anyway, I'm gonna remove these guide pins and I'm going to put some grease on them. Uh-oh. Come on, baby. Don't rip it. Sometimes things are better left alone. Let me think this over. Alright, folks. Well, I was able to, by holding on to the rubber bushing, I was able to work the pin free. Those look like brand new pins. My real mechanic must have put brand new ones in there last summer when he did this brake job. But I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to wipe them clean. I'm going to butter them down. I'll be using this synthetic brake and caliper grease. So I pulled out the bottom one, and that looks like that's in really great shape. But I'm going to wipe all that off and put fresh grease on there. So this is what the guide pin looks like, all wiped off. So I've got this first one all buttered up again, and I was watching one of the mechanics on YouTube University. That's how I learn everything, YouTube University. And he said not to grease the end of the guide pin because it'll prevent it from seating all the way in. And he said then your brake pads can press not straight. They'll kind of come at your rotor at an angle if you have grease on the end of one of these pins and not on the end of the other. They won't seat properly. So that's what he said. He seemed to know what he was talking about. At least I believed him. So that's how I buttered this one up. Let's go ahead and put this one back in. He said he kind of turns it a little bit, make sure it gets right in there. There we go. Seems to be stuck in there. Very nice. So we'll clean up the other one and do the same thing. I'm going to wipe this one down. Nice and clean. Let's grease it up. And we'll put number 2 back inside. Twist it side to side. Get it. There we go. That to wrap in nice. Very nice. So there's that. I'm happy with that. Okay, so I've got both brake pads in place. I used some of this lubricant also, just a little bit, where the pads slide along the guide. Each of the 4 areas, right up in here, and then on the inside where it slides, just to keep the friction down, try to keep the squeaking down. And I tried not to get any dirt or any grease on the operating side, the inside of the pads, of course. So I think we're all set. I'm going to go ahead and try to put it all back together. Now, because I was such a good boy and I kept these nuts, these bolts over there on the steps with my other parts, I was able to find them. So I'm learning. So let's see if we can get these back in place. So the question becomes, did I get that caliper piston pushed far enough back so this will fit over the width of these new pads, which are wider, of course? And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like they do. So I'll go ahead and tighten up these bolts and we'll move forward. So when you put these caliper piston bolts back on, you need to be careful not to over tighten them, and it's my understanding that they are only about 24 to 27 foot-pounds. Alright, before I put the tire back on, I've got this brake fluid cover tightened up again. So I'm all done pushing the piston back on that one brake. Now let's go pump the brake pedal. Oh, that feels okay. I think we're all right. Glad it's not going all the way to the floor. All right, 1 of 4 brake systems, 3 more to go. So I hope everything's back together properly. We'll know more about it later, won't we? So I had commented earlier that these old brake pads that I took out were fine. They had a lot of life left in them, and they probably do. But when I put it side by side with the brand new brake pads, you can say there's definitely quite a bit of difference. That there's about twice as much meat on the new brake pads. So we can say that half of the life of the old ones had in fact already been used. So probably could have used them a while longer, but I feel good about putting the new ones on. Okay, first side's down, rear passenger side down off the jack, lug nuts on, tighten to 150 foot-pounds. 3 more to go. Thanks for watching.